A very good afternoon from the Karting de Fagnes International Raceway here in Mariembourg in southern Belgium. And welcome along to the inaugural Karting Champions League Winter Series for 2025. And it's also a good way to kickstart the racing season for many drivers. Here this weekend in southern Belgium, just around about a 25-minute drive off of the French border, we have 99 drivers from 9 respective nations who will take part in a variety of direct drive and gearbox-driven karts over the course of the next 2 and a bit days. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, your official commentator for the event, welcoming you all that are watching on the official Karting Champions League YouTube channel. For more information about what this is all about, it is kartingchampionsleague.com. But it is also a way in which to provide a unique platform for racers to advance and excel, bolstered by an array of prestigious awards. And there's quite a few prizes up for grabs. We're just under 6 minutes away from our first of multiple qualifying heats over today and tomorrow. Sunday, we will then have the super heats and the finals. And what's more, this was originally scheduled to be a 2-round event, but it's a one-off. And more to the point, if you win the final, you are the inaugural winner of the Karting Champions League Winter Series for 2025. So our first set of races will be X30 Senior, and it has the biggest prize of all up for grabs. For the winner on Sunday afternoon, the driver will not only get a ticket, a golden ticket for the 2025 IAME Warrior Finals later on this year, but will also go into the garage with MP Motorsport, who celebrate their 30th anniversary this season, having been founded back in 1995, based in Westmaas in the Netherlands, who run in Formula 2, Formula 3, Euro Cup 3, F4 Spain, Formula Regional European Championship powered by Alpine, Formula 4 UAE, and also in F1 Academy. The X30 Senior driver will get a test day in Formula 4 with MP Motorsport. We also have IAME Mini, IAME X30 Junior, we have KZ, KZ Masters, and X30 Super Shifter. The prizes are fantastic. Every one of the top 3 competitors in each class will get a set of brand new slick tyres specific to their class to take away. X30 Mini will have a golden ticket for the first place driver for IAME Warrior Finals 2025 and a guaranteed spot for second and third. The same can be said of X30 Junior. And then X30 Senior, the F4 test day, golden ticket, IWF 2025, and a guaranteed spot for second and third. KZ, a set of Vega tyres for first, second, and third in the respective classes. We've got a lot of action to cover. They're going to be short days, but they're going to be rapid fire, as we always know here in karting. Current air temperature, 5 degrees Celsius. We've got a northern wind of around 13 kph, which is around about 8 miles an hour. 81% humidity, 25% cloud cover, and here is this afternoon's timetable. So in just around 3 minutes' time, we'll get underway with the first of our respective heats. So it'll be 10 minutes plus an additional lap for the first 2 heats. That's X30 Senior, Heat 1 A versus B, and then C versus D. Mini, Junior, KZ2 and KZ2 Masters and X30 Super Shifter, they will all compete in 3 respective heats. After that, we'll then go into the Super Heat stages on Sunday morning, and then we will have our finals Sunday afternoon, and then we will crown our inaugural Karting Champions League champions for the Winter Series for 2025. Of course, this circuit here in Mariembourg has been around since 1987, so has served not just Belgian karting, but international karting for the best part of nearly 4 decades, and has seen the likes of Jenson Button, Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton, Heikki Kovalainen and Kimi Räikkönen, who managed to wear out their first ever set of race suits right here. And more to the point, it's a fantastic circuit. 1,388 meters clockwise, and it is challenging. It is a wonderful circuit to come back to. Has this bit of an old school charm about it. And more to the point, it is incredibly challenging. It's fast-paced, it's full throttle. You've got to have eyes in the back of your head around this circuit. And more to the point, you've got to bring your A game as well, because one wrong move means it bites back very, very quickly. We had time qualifying before we went live this afternoon. And it was Kevin Lantinga in the 269 who stole overall pole position in the group qualifying stages from last year's IAME Series Benelux runner-up, and there he is on the right-hand side of your screen, Alessandro Tudisca for RSD Karting. The gap between pole and second was 43 thousandths. And that really provided a great way to kickstart our qualifying antics here at Karting Champions League. And there you see our grid ready to go. We are just under 60 seconds away for the first time that the green flag will be shown to the competitors for going racing. Also in qualifying, Milan Beku took pole in IAME Mini, Timio Rifla, X30 Junior, Kevin Steyhauer, KZ2, Niels Koster in Masters, and X30 Super Shifter saw Belgium's Milo van Baggenhout taking pole position in that class. And that's when you're really going to see a lot of speed. But direct drive is the focus right now as we are seconds away for going green for the first time in Karting Champions League history. Let's take you through the first ever starting grid for Karting Champions League Winter Series action for 2025. And it's Heat 1, A versus B, X30 Senior. Kevin Lantinga from the Netherlands and Alessandro Tudisca from Belgium on the front row of the grid. Row 2, Quintin van Leeuwen, moving up to seniors in 2025, will be joined by the Pride of Ireland, CJ Bennett on row 2. Devon Hagland also moving up to seniors for 2025 and will compete also in the FIA Academy Trophy senior ranks this year, representing the Netherlands. He's joined by new recruit at KCR Racing, Casper Norman on row 3. Kevin Bakker and Tobias Norman round out row number 4, with Charlie Gloom and Jori Schoens rounding out the top 10. Max Hezel and Rafa Linders round out the top 6 rows. Row 7 is Tristan Kroon and Senna Meunier. Raffaele Santocono, Keanu Wellens, Leon Lambrecht, Noah Hubert, Jesse Polderdijk and Meredith Schurman round out the 20 starters. Unfortunately, Thomas van Vliet from the Netherlands in the 203 is a non-starter. Did not take part in time qualifying. Folks, if you want to find out live timing, you can click on the pinned message at the top of the live chat. So if you are watching wherever you are in the world, thank you very much for joining us and show your support for the drivers you are cheering on. Live timing link is also in the description along with our official results. And it also gives you the up-to-date timetable. So this race will take place over a duration of 10 minutes plus an additional lap. And we also have to say a big thank you to the team here at Karting Diefang International Raceway, led by Thierry Lepine. And also this event is under the governance of the Belgian ASN, the Royal Automobile Club of Belgium. A big thank you for both entities for their help in making this event possible. So a lot of drivers known within X30 senior ranks are ready. A few new fresh faces making their way up into the top tier category in X30 competition. And sparks normally do fly. Drivers getting from weaving from side to side. The temperature is starting to increase a little bit, but it is going to be a case that very shortly everyone's going to have to get into that side-by-side dual file formation. Lantinga and Tudisca now start to control the pace. As into the tram lines we go, it's going to be a signal from race director Dave Ritson, another formation lap. So full starts, if we get another one, it will be a red flag stoppage. and a discussion will be had. So a very wise call there from race director Dave Ritson, and now we go back around again. So when you think about it, when an F4 test day with MP Motorsport is on the cards, you can bet your bottom dollar that everybody here is saying, you know what, I've got a chance. It's a one-off event. It's winner take all. And that is exactly what this competition does. It's to provide these kind of rewards, and also the opportunity to go to the IAME Warrior Finals is also something pride of place. It's effectively the IAME World Championship, if you will, but it also has a dynamic of its own, because it's not just drivers representing themselves, it's also you have all the representative teams, national teams, if you will, and you kind of, yes, you do have your camps with regards to respective teams, but when it's nations being unified through solidarity, through the power of motorsport, something like this, it's taken a while to get Karting Champions League over the line to get ourselves to this point here. And boy, has it been worth the wait. This time we look like we're going to be going green as the red lights ignite on the starting gantry. We are. Revs up, lights on, lights out, underway. And Karting Champions League goes green for 2025. Lantinga leads the way. Quintin van Leeuwen gets through on Alessandro Tudisca, as it's a scramble all the way through turn number 2. And a bit of pushing and shoving. Tudisca on the grass. One of the Falcon carts behind him also being compromised. But Kevin Lantinga on the Croc Promotion chassis has bolted early doors. And more to the point, well, they're going to be making their way down to Chemin de Fer for the first time. Now through into breaking the timing beam, halfway through the escargot section. For those uninitiated, escargot is the French word for the snail section, but Kevin Lantinga was really looking forward to this event, and he put it on pole by a whisker, and he's got a comfortable lead. But more to the point, how big is that lead after the opening lap? So Lantinga leads after the opening tour of the circuit. Second, Quintin van Leeuwen, Devon Hagland up to P3, Tristan Kroon, Charlie Gloom, Tobias Norman, Max Hessel, Rafael Linders, Jori Schoens and Raffaele Santocono round out the top 10. CJ Bennett dumped down to 11th. Alessandro Tudisca down to 13th. Biggest mover, Tristan Kroon, up from 13th at the start, now runs a genuine P4. And, well, one of the drivers who I had a quick chat with via Instagram DMs earlier on, between qualifying and us going live, Matthias Merschaltz, who we will see in action for Heat 2, had a bit of a scary moment going through turn 4 when the kart decided to swap axles and the back axle was going forward and the other one was trailing in its wake. He had brake problems. So I said to him, well, you know what you need to do. I don't need to tell you anything more, but there is a battle happening here for 4th place. Tristan Kroon versus Charlie Gloom. Gloom sends it up the inside through into turn 1, neat as you like. And that's the good thing about the start-finish straight here at Mariembourg. You come out of the final right-hander, a little bit of a piff-paff chicane, but you are full throttle all the way up. You're pushing north of 100+ kilometers an hour at least, going over the crest. And it's a bit like Paddock Hill Bend at Brands Hatch, turn 1, where you have a little bit of a compression zone, then a bit of a dip, and then the corner sort of turns onto itself. But it really is getting very close between Quintin van Leeuwen and Devon Hagelen. Devon remaining with the team at Fusion. But Kevin Lantinga looks to stride very nicely into the distance here at Karting de Fagnes. And more to the point, well, Devon Hagelen showing a good account of himself, just 13 years of age, and decides, well, you know what? Let's go up to seniors. And he was very, very proud when I got the chance to have a chat with him about getting the opportunity to represent the Netherlands in the FI Academy Trophy senior ranks this year. And he said, I can't wait. I've got so much racing going on. I'm really loving this. But Kevin Lantinga has the lead of nearly a second ahead of Van Leeuwen. CJ Bennett has pulled it into pit lane. I think the driver from Ireland, who is looking really, really strong in qualifying. It seems like the bad luck for 2024 that he had over the course of the season has followed him here and has retired on lap 2. So the first retiree, a big scalp, CJ Bennett. But there we see a nice little three-way battle. Tristan Kroon, Max Hazel and Tobias Norman. So this is going to be interesting. One Dutch driver versus two German drivers. And you can just see how closely packed they are. We're fast approaching the halfway point of this opening heat. Little bit of a slight touch, left front to right rear, and a switchback attempt. Nice move there by Tobias Norman, getting through. So they go into chemin de fer, hard under braking. That is going to be another move and a change of position. Tristan Kroon passed by Rafael Leenders. So Leenders gets through. And there does go, also at Escargot, Alessandro Tudisca. So, and well, Tudisca last year in the IAME Series Benelux was close to taking the championship, dominated the final 2 rounds, and then he disposes of his teammate from RSD Karting very, very quickly as we hit the halfway mark, having completed 5 laps of the circuit. 56.958. New fastest lap by the driver now occupying 8th position. Alessandro Tudisca now on a bit of a charge, moving forward. And Tobias Norman is the next driver in his crosshairs. And that's some air. For those wondering about the interesting engine noise above the circuit, if you can hear it, sounds like airplane traffic locally. Not that far from Charleroi and Zaventem airports in Belgium. But Tudisca is on a tear at the moment. He's gone purple again in sector number 1, and he's lining up a move here on Norman. That's going to happen through turn number 1 very shortly. As Devon Hagland is trying to close in on Quinten Van Leeuwen. And, well, what do you know? I did say it was going to happen. Tudisca through another new fastest lap, 56.338. Now, considering the qualifying lap times, it was a 57.777 by Tudisca. Now we're under dry race conditions. Race director Dave Ritson earlier on today said that warm-up, non-qualifying and qualifying was under wet race conditions. Tudisca now looking for the move on Max Hazel in the 399 from Germany. And through Escargot, is Tudisca going to try and look for a move? No, he's going to wait. So a good bit of strategy there. Of course, this is a one-off event, so winner take all. And Tudisca will need to just be very consummate. And the big thing about this kind of event is it's also about mechanical sympathy. There we go, there's the move. Hazel gets passed by Tudisca into turn 1. And that is Tudisca back up to P3. No one has been able to better his fastest lap of the race so far, 56.338. And, well, there's going to be a change. Norman up the inside of Hazel and gets through, so the 353. Of course, you might see that Tobias has a Ward Racing race suit on. Of course, Ward Racing very much involved in international karting. And Tobias making a move, I think, if I recognise on the back of Max Hazel's race suit. That's a CV Performance Group race suit, if ever I might mistake it. But there is one driver keeping out of the way. I think that is Marit Schurman in the 244, who's letting drivers get through. But the big thing now is how much closer to Devon Hagland is Alessandro Tudisca. The gap is 3.4 seconds, but Kevin Lantinga looking to become the first driver to win a Karting Champions League event victory is on course to doing so. We're currently on lap number 9 with just under 2 minutes plus that additional lap still to go. Norman is still battling away over P6 and P7. Into chemin de fer we go again. So Raphael Linders still keeping Tristan Kroon at bay. Charlie Gloom now the highest place mover up the order, up 6 places from 9th on the grid, currently running P3, about 9/10 of a second behind Quinten van Leeuwen from the Netherlands. And Tudiska's gone purple again in Sector 1, 36.934. Devon Hagland showing a nice bit of turn of speed in P4. He's just gone quicker than anybody else in the second sector, and there's an opportunity for him to get up into 3rd place past Charlie Gloom through into turn 4. And that's the corner where Mathis Marchand had that drama in qualifying. And Devon Hagland just biding his time into Chemin de Fer. Now waiting. And sometimes if you bump over the curbs coming out of Chemin de Fer, it can unsettle the kart, especially at the back end, make it a little bit loose, and you've really got to control it significantly. So we will next time around go on to our penultimate lap. So lap 10 will be in the books. So 12 laps distance, set to be the length of the race itself as Devon Hagland dives up the inside. And he gets through on Charlie Gloom for P3 at turn 1. And, well, more to the point, the gap now was 3.4 seconds between what was Hagland and Tudiska. That's now the gap. That's now come down to about 3 seconds. Timer has expired. Next time around, we get the final lap board for the first time this weekend. So no, I've had no announcements on the live timing to say if anyone's been given any in-race penalties so far. But a good way to start things off. A little bit of a calamity at the opening couple of corners on the first lap. But last lap board will be out this time. Kevin Lantinga from the Netherlands and the 269 will see it first. There's Quinten van Leeuwen, Devon Hagland, Charlie Gloom, Alessandro Tudiska ran at the top 5 going on to the last lap. Side by side, and once again, it's Norman versus Hazel, 6th and 7th, and then they've got Tristan Kroon, the Falcon Racing team, closing in on them very, very quickly as they exit out of turn number 2. Quinten van Leeuwen has got that gap to just over 6/10 to Lantinga. And there is Raphael Linders, who is a little bit of distance ahead, 3.9 seconds ahead of Raffaele Santocono. But more to the point, Kevin Lantinga is doing everything he can. Oh, and Tristan Kroon went for a move on Max Hazel. But this time around, we are going to get the checkered flag. And the first ever winner in Karting Champions League Winter Series history, it's going to go the way of the Netherlands. It's going to be Kevin Lantinga that wins from lights out to checkered flag after 12 laps of this circuit at Karting de Fagnes. Takes the win by just under 3/10 ahead of Quinten van Leeuwen. Devon Hagland rounds out the top 3, having started 5th on the grid. Charlie Gloom started 9th and finished in 4th ahead of Alessandro Tudiska, whose race could have been different had it not been a bit of a skirmish and too many drivers trying to get into the same piece of tarmac coming out of turn number 2. He managed to get back from 13th and finish 5th at the end of it. Tobias Norman and Max Hazel round out the top 7, despite Hazel having a scare from Tristan Kroon in the dying stages, with a 288 from the Netherlands finishing P8. Raphael Linders and Denmark's Casper Norman round out the top 10. Raffaele Santocono, Kevin Bakker, Senna Meunier, Keanu Wellens and Jori Schoens round out the top 15. Noah Huber, Leon Lambrecht, Jesse Polderdijk and Marit Schurman round out the 19 finishers. Schurman finishing a lap down. CJ Bennett was starting 4th, but unfortunately would retire. Classified 20th after the opening 2 laps with Thomas Van Vliet and on starter. But Kevin Lantinga becomes the first ever Karting Champions League race winner here for the Winter Series in 2025. So, first race of the first ever Karting Champions League Winter Series for 2025, and that definitely did not disappoint. So, we'll have 15 total qualifying total heats, and the majority of them will be 6 of them represented by X30 Senior. Of course, we next up after this we'll have our first look at the 19 IAME Mini drivers that qualified a little bit earlier on today, and they will be watching on with a lot of interest. And the X30 Mini class, one of the staples of where drivers start to learn their trade, and sometimes the racing can show up the older drivers, and they really do provide some great action. We've also got some new names coming into IAME Mini for this particular event, drivers who have competed in Mini, in other classes within this age bracket. And more to the point, it's that's brilliant. Dave Ritson, our race director, giving a double thumbs up to somebody. I'm not too sure if it was probably some of the kids, but you can see they look like they're about to clamber onto the fencing. I'm just waiting for someone to shout "go," and it's like in a mini assault course, and the fencing comes down all of a sudden. But you can just see that they're just as passionate, and they might be the youngest drivers on our grid this weekend here for Karting Champions League, but they are excited. They're looking forward to this opportunity to get to race and obviously compete for some great prizes. Let's have a look at the starting grid for race 2 of the meeting. Heat 2, X30 Senior, Groups C versus D. On pole position, representing Belgium, will be Matthijs van der Kerkhoff, who will be joined by Zem van der Heyden from the Netherlands on the front row. It's an all-Belgian row 2 with Yanni Bouillet and Luca Moulard. Annabelle Bryan and Marcus Gloom round out row number 3. Marcus is, of course, related to Charlie Gloom, who was out in the previous race. Dinan de Vos joined by Raphaël Boulard on row number 4. And then in row 5, thereby completing the top 10, Luca Montebello in the 228 and the 201 of Mirko Wouters. Wouter Bergano and Noel van Vonveld will round out row number 6. Roxanne Lantinga will be joined by Leon Leinsveld on row 7. Row 8, Mathis Renet and Gaspar Delbar. Kaz Orthaus will be joined on row 9 with Hugo van der Velden. And on row 10, completing the 20-strong grid, Mathis Merschalt and Zino Falca, representing Belgium and Germany. And of course, for those that don't remember the last driver who went through MP Motorsport and ended up in a Formula 1 seat, that particular driver was none other than Argentina's Franco Colapinto, who ended up replacing Logan Sargent for the remainder of last year's FIA Formula 1 World Championship with Williams, and has now been signed on a multi-year agreement with Alpine as a test and reserve driver. Of course, Alpine running Pierre Gasly and new recruit from Australia, former test driver at Alpine, Jack Doohan, the son of legendary motorbike motorbike racer Mick Doohan. So just goes to show that if someone like Franco Colapinto can make it through the ranks of MP Motorsport, whoever ends up doing the Formula 4 test day and gets an opportunity to race with MP Motorsport, well, it can definitely be worth your while with their wealth of experience through a lot of feeder series single-seater categories. I've also seen the likes of Owen Tangavelu and Javier Segrera in Euro Cup 3 last year. So MP Motorsport, another one of the big powerhouses in feeder series single-seater racing. Okay, into the tram lines we go. Van der Kerkhoff and Van der Heyden on the front row. Drivers are, revs up, lights out. We are underway. And a good start by Matthias van der Kerkhoff. Van der Heyden tried to go wheel to wheel, but Yanni Bouillet trying to get through. Oh, it's a scramble and a dogfight just underneath the top 10. It was 4-5 wide coming out of turn 1, and the scramble continues out of 2. Got to be very, very careful. Zino Falca in the 249 for Larea GT1 Racing, making up a handful of places. Matthias Marschalk finds himself moving up, and he's ahead of the German as Van der Kerkhoff leads the way coming out of Chemin de Fer. It is elbows out, and every driver for themselves heading into Escargot. A very frantic first lap, but everyone keeping it on the black stuff at the meantime. Also another driver that has made it into Formula 1, but not into a full-time seat, Felipe Drugovic. But there you see Matthias Marschalk on a tear. Zem van der Heyden trying to get through, and I think has retaken second place on Yanni Bouillet. Matthias Marschalk now up 6 spots. From 19th at the start, now running P13 behind Leon Leinsfeld, who's made up 2 places in his own right. Drivers making their way through into T4. And Kazorthaus all the way down into 20th position. The field completely covered by just shy of 9.9 seconds. Bit of a dive bomb into Chemin de Fer. There's contact, there's wheel banging. And, well, that just goes to show how quickly things can turn around on its head. So that was definitely a Victory Lane coloured kart that I saw diving in to there. There's more argy-bargy coming out of the final right-hander and up the hill into the straightaway. So I think it was Luca Moulard that might have been a bit robust. Wasn't quite 100% sure. Tried to pick out the numbers, but with just under 7 minutes and 45 seconds to go, plus an additional lap, Matthias van der Kerkhoff has a lead over Zem van der Heyden, and that's 1.1 seconds. There's the 2-2-4. Roxane Lantinga, younger sister to Kevin, who's battling away with Ruta Bergano. Bergano's made up 7 places, and Annabelle has made up 8. She started 13th. She has a preference for the Tony Kart chassis, whereas brother Kevin prefers running on a Croc Promotion chassis. And here comes the move, does it? Yes, it does. Oh, bit of a slide there from Ruta Bergano, and Roxane Lantinga did not need a second invitation to send it up the inside. Saw that there was a little bit of pressure she could put on Ruta Bergano, and it was textbook. It was well executed, and Roxane Lantinga now has an opportunity to catch up to the drivers in front. Yanni Bouillet last time around was about 1.8 seconds up the road, and Lantinga was a 10th quicker on the opening sector that time. Marcus Gloom, however, has struck trouble and has ended up parking it after 2 laps. So a real shame for the number 210. Matthias van der Kerkhoff continues to lead, but Zem van der Heyden trying to close that gap. It's now expanded to the best part of nearly 1.4 seconds. Van der Kerkhoff now has the new fastest lap of the race, 56.665. as we head into the final 6 minutes plus an additional lap. So at the minute, it is more the case of Matthias van der Kerkhoff leads the way. Sam van der Heyden in second. Yanni Bouillet now third, 2 seconds ahead of Roxane Lantinga. Wouter Bergano, Mirko Wouters, Luca Montebello. Mathis Marchalt on an absolute tear, setting personal best after personal best, now up 11 spots and is in 8th place and may even in the next 5.25 minutes, plus an additional lap to start going after Montebello, Wouters, Bergano et al. But Matthias van der Kerkhoff has a very comfortable grasp onto the lead of this race. So halfway through and 5 minutes plus a lap to go. So the jury's out on who might provide a little bit of a surprise as some of the drivers make their way. Right, okay, first in-race penalty of the event has been served, and that is for the 3.82, I believe. Leon Leinsveld, currently running in 10th place. 3-second time penalty, 2 wheels out of the tram lines for the driver from the Netherlands. Won his weight class in KA 100 in the IAME Series Benelux last year. As more to the point, well, you can just see the battles are fast, they are frantic. Roxane Lantinga has pulled away from Wouter Bergano, who's just had, I think that was Mirko Wouters up the inside. Luca Montebello now looking for the opportunity to get through, so Mirko Wouters running in that distinctive high visibility livery for Eichmann's Grand Prix. Eichmann's Grand Prix who helped Eddie Goldstein to 4 titles in X30 Senior in IAME Series Benelux. And, well, Ellie now moving up, has moved into KZ with the official TB factory kart team. Mathis Marchalt, fastest lap of anybody in this race. 56.249, and is not giving up yet. There's still time to try and close that gap. And Mathis Marchalt is now only 2.5 seconds behind Luca Montebello. There's still an opportunity. Montebello is starting, well, Montebello last time around did a 56.807. Mathis Marchalt did a 56.250, 1/1000th slower than his fastest lap of the race. And that just goes to show you put Mathis Marchalt into a difficult situation and he will literally rise to the challenge. And that's another place lost by Wouter Bergano as Luca Montebello has got through. So Montebello now through for what is 6th place. And whilst they've been scrapping, there has been an opportunity for Mathis Marchalt to close on in. And Marchalt, oh my goodness me, took nearly a second out of Wouter Bergano. He did a 36 in the first sector alone. Did a 36.8 in sector 1, a 19.1 in sector 2, and he's got that gap down to about 1.5 seconds. So Wouter Bergano is fast becoming a target that Mathis Marchalt is happy to chase. And there is Sam van der Heyden, who is trying to close in on Matthias van der Kerkhoff. The gap between the top 3, rounded out by Yanni Bouillet. It was 8.5 tenths between the 3 of them. Mathis Marchalt has done the first sub 56-second lap time I think I've seen all day long. 55.964, and he's taken nearly another nearly half a second out of Wouter Bergano. And Luca Montebello's got to watch his backside as well, because Montebello, Bergano and Marchalt were covered by 1.5 seconds. Another new fastest lap by the 250 for KCR Racing. He is absolutely flying, and who's not to say in the next minute plus an additional lap, can we see something spectacular? from the Belgian. So next time around, we'll go on to our penultimate lap of our second X30 Senior race of this inaugural Karting Champions League Winter Series. And they'll be back in action tomorrow morning at 11:45 for their third and fourth heats, where we switch it out between groups A, B, C and D. And Matthias Marschalt now is within striking distance. Wouter Bergano has got to watch his rear bumper because he could see a flash of red and yellow fly past him. The same could be said for Matthias van der Kerkhoff as we now count it down to 0. Van der Heyden has an opportunity. They come out of Chemin de Fer. It's this plus one more lap to go. And they have slightly dropped Yannick Bouillet. Oh, we've got Raphael Boulard stopped, and that is on the marshal post off of the penultimate right-hander. But they're back under green flag racing conditions through the final right. One more lap to go. Can Van der Kerkhoff fend off Van der Heyden for the race lead? And more importantly, as we've got about 1,150 metres to go for the victory. So through turn number 2, if Van der Heyden gets a good lineup coming out of the final right-hander and up the hill over the crest through the piff-paff chicane and across the stripe, I think Van der Kerkhoff knows, he can sense it. He can sense that Sven Van der Heyden could strike at any moment, but it won't be into Chemin de Fer at this particular juncture. They now go through into the escargot section. Handful of corners remain, and Matthias van der Kerkhoff has led from lights out, and he could do the same up until the checkered flag, because we are coming to the end of the race itself. Through the final right-hander, up the hill, the driver from Victory Lane starts to accelerate, and Matthias van der Kerkhoff does exactly the same as Kevin Lantinga and wins the race, starting from pole position, from lights out to checkered. Matthias van der Kerkhoff, the 2.36 from Belgium, finishes ahead of Sven Van der Heyden after 12 laps by just 4/10. Yannick Bouillet makes it another driver in the top 3, covered by 1.262 seconds. Roxanne Lantinga takes 9 places to finish 4th ahead of Mirko Wouters. Luca Montebello moves up into 6th. Matthias Marschalt has now been promoted to 7th. Now, this is because Luca Moulard got pinged with a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. So Luca Moulard was the driver that sent it up the inside through into Chemin de Fer, and then the chain reaction, the domino effect of contact between side pods and sidewalls occurred. So that means Marschalt, the biggest gainer of the race, 12 places to finish 7th, ahead of Wouter Bergano, Dinan de Vos, and Germany's Sino Falca, who makes up 10 places to round out the provisional top 10. Noel van Vroonveld, Leon Leinsveld, Luca Moulard, Mathis Renet, Gaspar Delbar, Kaz Orthaus, and Hugo van der Velden round out the provisional finishing order for the top 17. There is the Charles Leclerc chassis, the one stricken for Raphael Boulard, that will be recovered. There is the 2-2-1 of Van der Velden going into pit lane. Marcus Gloom out on lap 2, and Annabelle Bryan out on the opening lap. But one win for Kevin Lantinga, one win for Matthias van der Kerkhoff, as we'll see X30 Senior back in action tomorrow morning. Next up, it's going to be our first heat for IAME Mini for Karting Champions League Winter Series action here in January 2025. Now it's time for Heat 1 for IAME Mini, as we've got we have 20 competitors to start on the grid. Pole position occupied by the 899 of Mariembourg, who will be joined by the 830 on the front row of Louis Boots. Georges Desmet and Didier Dedale round out row number 2. Louis Peternot and Sem Sazlik complete row number 3. Dorian Grandjean joined by the Netherlands' Julian van der Cotelet on row number 4. Vin Wins and Axel Leenders round out the top 10. Matteo Campobello and Joshua Lorison on row number 6. Row 7, Bruce Chirino and Kik Burkers. Lucle and Kian Ten Hav round out row 8 with Bram Konings, Maxime Van Kreen, Lasse van der Weide and Milo Cornil rounding out the 20-strong grid. So for the IAME Mini drivers, their 3 heats will be 7 minutes plus an additional lap around the circuit here at Karting de Fagnes. And the drivers are now on their official formation lap. When the last driver to cross the line has done so, we will then have the red lights ignited on the starting gantry. And it will be down to Mariembourg and Louis Boots to control the rolling start. Now, for those new to karting, welcome along. A little bit of information for those wondering with KZ, KZ2, or KZ2, KZ2 Masters and X30 Super Shifter, what's the biggest difference? Well, because of the amount of torque going through the back axle with the 6-speed sequential gearbox, you're going to find that it's not conducive for a rolling start. So we are going to have a true standing start for several of the races this weekend. So Mariembourg and Louis Boots lining up alongside each other. Mariembourg running with Eichmann's Grand Prix. Louis Boots running with Falcon Racing. And they will be the ones controlling proceedings at the front end of the field. So the drivers will slowly make their way towards the final right-hander. So the drivers under starters' orders. Red lights on the gantry as they will now make their way into the corridors. Revs up, lights on, lights are out. We're underway and a good start by our pole sitter Mariembourg. There is a scramble behind him as they filter their way through turn 1 on the opening lap and hard on the brakes. Turn it into turn number 2, rotate, use that momentum. And a 3 to 4 length kart lead coming out of turn 2 from Mariembourg. But Georges Desmet got the jump on the opposition behind, I believe, as they come through turn 4 into the right at 5 on the run down to Chemin de Fer for the first time. So Louis Boots behind Georges Desmet, so it's Falcon running in second and third. EGP leading the way as they come through Escargot. And you can see 6, 7 karts pretty much nigh on in a line. At the back of that train is Julian van der Cotelet from the Netherlands in the 832 as we come across the line to complete the opening lap. Mariembourg leads the way. Georges Desmet second. Louis Boots closing in third position. Didier Dedale leading the battle. The trio for fourth place with Louis Peternot and Dorian Grandjean, who's tussling with Peternot coming out of turn 2, and Grandjean dives for the inside line through at 3, gets compromised on the run out of the corner, and I think Julian van der Cotelet was trying to get back through, and I think van der Cotelet did get back through. My goodness me, that was a scramble and a half coming out of turn 2. So that just goes to show how quickly things can turn on a sixpence. But Milan Beku trying to do everything he can coming out of Escargot. And very shortly they'll be going into the final right hand. The top four are starting to break away as we hit the 5-minute marker to go. Milan Beku, Georges Desmet, Louis Boots and Didier Dedale. Dedale with the National Auto Club Excelsior team. And now there's going to be a big old fight for the race lead coming through turn 2. Milan Beku trying to hold on to it at the moment. Still holds on for the minute. And Dedale is waiting in the wings. And Desmet has been passed by Louis Boots for second place. So a bit of musical chairs between the Falcon Racing team drivers in P2 and P3. Through Chemin de Fer, Beku trying to make the back end of that Eichmann's Grand Prix entry as wide as humanly possible on the run down into Escargot here on lap 3. And actually, well, it's Louis Peternot that's currently running in 4th place, as Didier Dedale is about 1.6 seconds back down in P5. And it's going to be an opportunity here. There could be a change for the race lead imminently, but not on this particular occasion. Louis Boots was only 65 thousandths back from Milan Beku. And Beku is doing a fantastic job holding on to the race lead. Here we go through turn 3. Desmet is waiting in the wings. So is Peternot in the number 837. The Euro karting driver. They come through out of turn 4 into 5 on the run down to turn 6, then turn 7 and 8 at Chemin de Fer. And there they are again. This could give an opportunity if they keep on battling away like they are at the moment. Didier Dedale in the 898 from Belgium could close in. Julian van der Kottelet has also been making some hay whilst the sun shines behind the clouds up above. He is currently up to P6, up 2 places from having started 8th on the grid. 3 minutes to go plus an additional lap. And Milan Beku is doing a sterling job at the front end. Through into turn 1 at big velocity. Now into 2. Now Beku is the one being hunted. And sometimes a slight wander off of the racing line might give you a bigger problem to deal with. And when he's got 2 Falcon carts and a Euro karting entry behind him in the form of Louis Peternot, you very much know that you are feeling the heat. And as they say, if you can't stand the heat, well, you better get out of the kitchen. And more to the point, well, Beku is absolutely masterclassing this one on the defensive way of how he's just parking the car. Because Beku is the leader, Beku has the right of way on the racing line. But a little bit of a show of the nose by Louis Boots on that particular occasion. He took a look at the inside line of the 899 of Beku. Now going into turn 3 and into 4. This is where things can get tricky. This is a fast part of the circuit, and it's only when you get down to Chemin de Fer that you've really got to keep the back axle stable under braking, because you're carrying a lot of speed. You're effectively nigh on turning right pretty much all the way through that particular part of the complex. Next time around, we go on to our penultimate lap of IAME Mini Heat 1 out of 3. And Milan Beku now has a slight lead because it looks like there's an inter-team squabble at Falcon Racing as Louis Boots and Georges Desmet are line astern. 2 laps to go, and Desmet looks for the inside line into T1, and it's going to be wheel to wheel for the briefest of moments. Louis Boots doesn't fight it too much, because one of the biggest things you don't want to have is the biggest unwritten rule in racing is don't take out your teammate. That's the one thing you do not want to do. So 13 seconds on the timer as they go through turn 5 for the penultimate time into Chemin de Fer. You can see now that the dry line is very, very expansive at this circuit. We went from an absolutely cold, overcast, foggy circuit this morning when I arrived at about 8 o'clock. And now, here we are, coming towards just after 10 to 4 in the afternoon local time. And more to the point, it is the case of we've got good racing conditions. But last lap is underway. Milan Beku continues to lead, as he's done pretty much for the majority of the race. Had a little bit of a scare at one point. And there was a 4-kart scramble going through into turn number 2. But Beku is going to hold on, or is he? Because Georges Desmay could come for an absolute send and a half into Chemin de Fer for the final time here on lap number 8. Julien van der Cotelet now has the fastest lap of the race, but Milan Beku has just got to hang on for another couple of corners. Desmay could get the run out of the final right-hander. He's teeing it up right now, is the 831 from Belgium. Milan Beku looks over the right shoulder through the final right-hander. Now it's about the waft. Now it's about how hard is your right foot as it hits the throttle hard. Checkered flag is out. Desmay looks to the outside, but Beku holds on. Beku with a victory by 71 thousandths of a second. Milan Beku becomes the 3rd successive driver in a row this weekend that has led from lights out to checkered flag, and that is one of the most wonderful defensive drives I have seen from a youngster of that age for a very, very long time. Milan Beku takes Eichmann's Grand Prix' first ever Karting Champions League win here in IAME Mini, and he did it with 71 thousandths to spare. Georges Desmay and Lewis Boots round out the top 3 for Falcon Racing, with Louis Peternot and Julien van der Cotelet completing the top 5. Diri Didale, Sem Sazlik, Joshua Lorison, Milo Cornel moved up the order like a silent assassin or a ninja in the middle of the night. Started last, finished 9th, ahead of Dorian Grosjean. Vin Wines, and then we got Matteo Campobello rounding out the top 12. Axel Linders, Bruce Chirino, Kik Barkers, Luc Clay, Lasse van der Weide, Maxime von Kreen, Bram Konings, and Kian Tenhaye Haver rounding out the 20 finishers. But Milan Beku takes the win in the IAME Mini here in Heat 1. What's going to happen in Heats 2 and 3? You're going to have to find out tomorrow. Next up, KZ2, KZ2 Masters, and X30 Super Shifters. It's Gearbox up next. My apologies there, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be IAME X30 Junior coming up next, and then we've got KZ2 and KZ2 Masters. But what a race there by Milan Beku to take the win by 71 thousandths of a second. Some of the results are already being made official. Kevin Lantinga confirmed as our race winner for X30 Senior Heat 1 earlier on. Couple of penalties for front bumpers post-race. Alessandro Tudisca and Leon Lambrecht getting front-fairing penalties post-race in Heat 1. Still waiting for confirmation of results for Heat number 2. So there you see on the timetable, we are just 3.5 minutes away approximately from X30 Junior Heat 1, which is race 4 of the meeting, and then KZ2 Masters and X30 Super Shifter will be up at 4:20 this afternoon. Tomorrow, the action starts on the live stream at 11:35 is when we'll be going live here at Karting de Fagnes. And then we'll start the racing at 11:45 with race 6 of the meeting, X30 Senior Heat 3, groups B versus C. And then we go 12:05, Heat 4, A versus D. And then we'll have the other second batch of heats for IAME Mini at 12:25. 12:45 X30 Junior and 13:05 for KZ2, Masters and Super Shifter. And we'll have a lunch break and then we'll have the final set of heats from 2:45 p.m. local time. That's Central European time for locality. So if you're in the United Kingdom or in Ireland, you are currently on GMT or UTC as the mechanics are asked to clear the dummy grid. So and this gives the drivers the opportunity to gather their thoughts. Some drivers sort of shut their eyes, shut the visor and try and visualize the circuit. And it's also an opportunity for these drivers just to get the get the race face on, so to speak. So in just under 2 minutes, we'll be getting underway with our penultimate heat of the day. Up next, X30 Junior Heat number 1. There's some good paddlers in this one, so expect another great race here. 23 drivers set to go into battle. Time now is 4 p.m. here in Mariembourg, and let's take you through the grid. Race 4 of the meeting, heat number 1 for X30 Junior. Timio Rifla from Belgium will be joined by countryman Stig de Rademaker on the front row of the grid. Aurelio Giustinelli, representing this very nation, will be joined by Luxembourg's Alexandre Point on row number 2. All Belgian row 3, Noah Crinier versus Aurélien Lemaire, with Aaron Vida and Yannis van den Bosch on row number 4. Completing the top 10, Maurice Vercroys and Antoine Duval. Lucas Pellizzari will be joined by Lorenz de Kock on row number 6. Antoine Boots and Bink van Scheindel round out row 7. Danny Boers and Len Gurkman round out row 8. And Panama's Jose Halfen will be joined by Belgium's Sacha Duquet on row number 9. Ben Gotts and Ludwig Granqvist from Germany and Sweden complete the top 20, with Sjoerd de Vries, Didier Krieft and Luxembourg's Mathis Mouche rounding out the 23 strong runners and riders. So we go back to 10 minutes plus an additional lap. Wind still to the north and 13 kilometres an hour. Temperature at its highest today has been 6 degrees Celsius, now currently at 4. Humidity's gone up to 87%. with cloud cover showing as 75%. You can see there is a little bit of sunshine trying to break through the clouds here at Mariembourg. So you get this wonderful bit of a sort of like a hue of sunshine that sort of like permeates its way through, but not completely. With a bone dry track, it gives us great conditions for racing, and forget about the fact that it's cold out there for these drivers. Yes, they will be shivering probably when they get out of the karts, when the adrenaline has been literally exhausted after the race itself, but it is going to be down to Riefler and De Rademaker to control proceedings in this first of 3 heats. So they will bring themselves across the line very, very shortly, but it's got to be down to Riefler and De Rademaker to control proceedings and make sure that everyone is on their best behaviour, because if not, Dave Ritson, our race director, will send them round again for another tour of the circuit. But they are pretty much under starters' orders. It's the first venture into X30 Junior for Karting Champions League Winter Series 2025. Told to slow. Revs up, lights on, and the lights are out. We're underway. Good start by Riefler, but round the outside goes Rademaker, and he's got the lead. Great work there by Stig de Rademaker. I was waiting for something to happen, and on the word go, turn 1, round the outside, Slim Shady. De Rademaker makes the move stick. A little bit of slight touching, front to rear bumper, sidewall to sidewall, coming out of turn number 3. But at the moment, coming through into Chemin de Fer for the first time of asking, Stig de Rademaker has gotten away. And now they come through in towards the next section at Escargot, and more to the point, De Rademaker's done exactly what he needed to, and he's bolted. He's got at least an 8-kart length lead. So this is where it gets crucial. And De Rademaker has got an early advantage. Noah Grignier, last year's IAME Series Benelux Mini champion, now has made the move to juniors and is already making an impact in this first ever outing. We have got a yellow flag heading into turn 5. There is a kart. Now Antoine Boots in the 174 has not made it through past the opening lap. Lorenz Lecoq has dropped from 12th to 22nd. As diving up the inside, that was Riefler, I believe, on Grignier. That has, I've just confirmed that. Adam Vida, or it could be Adam Vida that's actually got through. So Adam Vida looks to have gotten up from 4th. But we'll find that out very, very shortly, as they will cross the stripe and will complete our opening 2 laps after the opening 2 minutes of this first out of 3 heats for X30 Junior. De Rademaker leads. Second, it is Vida. Third, Grignier, Riefler, Lemaire, Point, Giustinelli, Duval, Van den Bosch and Van Scheindel. Oh, but this is getting a bit too close for comfort coming through turn number 2. A right old 2 and 8. And that is going to be the the 124, Alexandre Point, the Luxembourger, getting pushed from pillar to post and effectively being forced a little bit wide. Drivers do like to get a little bit robust, as up the inside goes the 107. Bink van Scheindel from the Netherlands gets through on Alexandre Point from Luxembourg. And that is another position loss. That's a real shame there. Point was looking racy. But in the meantime, looks like Adam Vida is trying to close on in. He's right up close and personal with Stig de Rademaker, and he's brought along to the party Noah Grignier and Timio Riefler. Now, Riefler started on pole position. De Rademaker up 1 spot from the start, and Vida from 7th. No, make that 8th on the grid. He's got the race lead. And he did for a moment, but Rademaker got it back. De Rademaker back in the race lead. Noah Grignier, fastest lap of anybody, 59. Oh, and a bump over the... That was opportunistic at its finest there. take a bow. Adam Vida through on, of all people, Stig de Rademaker on the curbing at Chemin de Fer. He saw the gap, made it work, and boy, was it a beaut. But the thing is, it now means that Adam Vida becomes the hunted. And now de Rademaker will not wait to be told or asked twice for an invitation to take back that race lead. Antoine Duval, related of course to former World Rally Championship driver François Duval, is making some great moves up the order. Antoine now up from 10th and is running 6th and is closing in on Aurélien Lemaire for 5th place. Duval, quite literally next to nothing, and I think has made it ahead. He's got the fastest lap of the race as Duval, 58.169. And now, oh well, this is going to be worrying for the top 4, especially if your name is Adam Vida, because there is a back marker up ahead. That is going to be Antoine Boots, I believe, in the 174, and that is the case. So 5 minutes down, 5 to go, plus a lap. Duval has got through on Lemaire and now has an opportunity. Get this, there's only 1.7 seconds, and there we saw for the first time Antoine Duval in the same shot as the top 4. So Duval has an opportunity. The youngster from Belgium, running with the team that is based out of this very circuit, Euro Karting, has got a real turn of speed. And he did a 57.961 on his previous lap. The quickest out of the top 4 is, funny enough, it's the race leader at the minute in terms of best time. All the top 4 did a personal best because I think they all looked over their shoulder and went, ah, there's Antoine. Come on, let's push. I'll be interested to see the gap between Duval and Riflard. It's going to be now Stig de Rademaker's opportunity. He wants the race lead. Adam Vida wants it back. And oh, a little bit of a scare tactic there from Stig de Rademaker on Adam Vida. And now the gap between 4th and 5th is 1.4 seconds. New fastest lap, Antoine Duval. De Rademaker trying to force the issue. Past Vida going into turn 4. Now the run down through 5 and into Chemin de Fer. Who's going to be the first one to break under the pressure? At the minute, nobody. And Duval is going to make it a quintet very shortly. Bump over the curbs coming out of Chemin de Fer and through the left-hander by Stig de Rademaker. Made the front end bounce up and down like a bungee cord with a human attached to it. But now starts to close on in. Gap between 1st to 5th. Last time after lap 6 was 2.1 seconds. I think we're probably going to be maybe at 1.5. De Rademaker goes for the race lead, retakes it onto lap 7. 0.9 was the gap. 0.9 from De Rademaker to Duval. And this is where it gets very, very close, and too close at times for comfort. Because now we have a chance for Antoine Duval to gun for the race lead, and he's on the back of the train. This is Duval's opportunity to make his mark whilst others might potentially stumble over their own shoelaces. Into Escargot. I think we could be looking at maybe Aurelio Giustinelli. Giustinelli's only a second behind Duval. That could be a top 6 fight for the opening heats for X30 Junior in Karting Champions League. De Rademaker takes a glance over the right shoulder. 0.56 was the gap between 1st and 5th, and Aurelio Giustinelli is only 1.4 off the race leader, and he sets the new fastest lap of the race, 57.380, and an overall fastest sector out of anybody in Sector 1 went purple. But now it's the blackjack game. Who's going to put all their cards on the table at this late stage in the first race of this competition? And at the moment, no one is shying away from using their poker face. Bing van Scheindel gets through on Aurélien Lemaire in the meantime, and there is Giustinelli. This looks like we could have the top 6 covered by about a second with just over 1 minute 10 to go. Here comes the swarm at the front end of the field, and now Duval decides, I'm going to start moving forward. And he's just got through on Timio Rifla and has taken 4th position. 1.3 seconds, covered the top 6 after 9 laps. Giustinelli, another new fastest lap. 57.25 was his last lap. And Duval was looking for a move on Grenier. Now, bearing in mind they are under the same awning, and you know what the unwritten rule of racing is: don't take out your teammate. And it was a very quick cat-like reflex from Antoine Duval to not fire it through on Noah Grenier, who was turning into the corner. The gap was closing. 2 to go in the opening heat of the weekend. And now the top 4 have started to slightly break away. It's about the best part of 4.5 tenths between Antoine Duval and Timio Rifla. Timer has expired. We've had some penalties coming in. And there's 6 of them. 3 of which for 5-second time penalties. And there is another move. Was that Duval on Grenier? I believe it is. We'll have one more tour after this. So Stig de Rademaker on lap number 11 will bring us across the line to start our final lap. The timer has expired. So the following drivers with 3-second time penalties for 2 wheels out of the tram lines. On 1-2, Didier Klieft. 1-2-5, Sjoerd de Vries, and 1-4-4, Yannis van den Bosch, running currently 8th place. I'll get to the ones that went all 4 wheels outside of the tram lines in just a second. Blue flags being waved in front of Stig de Rademaker. Len Gökman, 5-second time penalty for 3 or 4 wheels outside of the tram lines. 104 is the next driver, Ludwig Granqvist from Sweden, and 164 Aurélien Lemaire. All get a 5-second time penalty. And now, well, there is Antoine Duval closing in on Aaron Vida. Last lap about to be completed as Stig de Rademaker powers up the hill and goes towards the start-finish line to take the checkered, wins the first ever X30 Junior Heat, and Aaron Vida and Antoine Duval covered by 58 thousandths of a second, taking 2nd and 3rd place respectively. Noah Grenier could have been the top 3, ends up 4th. There's the youngster in the 166, Timio Rifla, started on pole, finished P5. Aurelio Giustinelli 6th, ahead of Bing van Scheindel, who made up 7 places, from 14th to P7. Yannis van den Bosch in 8th. Aurélien Lemaire now down to 9th place, ahead of Francis Lucas Pellizzari. Alexandre Point down 7 places to finish 7th, ahead of Ben Götz. 12th after starting 19th. Maurice Verkroijs, Danny Beurs, Ludwig Granqvist, Sacha Duquet, then Gökman, Lorenz de Kock, Sjoerd de Vries, Didier Klieft, Jose Halfen and Mathis Mouche rounding out the 22 finishers, with Antoine Boots just crossing the line as we speak to round out the finishing order. All 23 started the race, all 23 finished, with Fusion Motorsports Stig de Rademaker taking the win by just over 8 tenths. Right, time for our final starting grid of the first day of the inaugural Karting Champions League Winter Series. It's KZ2, KZ2 Masters and X30 Super Shifter. Just before I go through the starting grid, for you folks at home, what are the number designations? Well, if it's a 4 at the first of the 3 numbers, it's KZ2. 5 is for Masters. The 6 is for Super Shifters. So here is your starting grid. Kevin Stehauer starts from pole position, joined by countryman Daniel Tenbach on the front row. Renzo Alibax and Louis Esser round out row number 2. Jaden Teen joined by Jens Strö on row number 3. Sita van Miert and Niels Koster are KZ2 Masters pole sitter. Round out the top 4 rows with Julian Kamen and X30 Super Shifter pole sitter from Belgium, Milo van Baggenhout. They round out the top 10. Anders Alkier and Tristan Bellon round out the top 6 rows with Rick Hartmann, joined by Nilan van Winden on row number 7. Completing the 16-driver grid with the 8th and final row, it's Kevin Delcroix and Martin Versteeg. So they now go on to their official formation lap. And this is where we put a twist in the tail, so to speak. It's standing start. There is a significant amount of torque that these drivers are going to have to contend with. Not only have you got the 6-speed gearbox that you actually pull the lever towards you to shift up, you push it forwards to shift down, you've also got to do one other big thing. You've got to find the biting point when you feel that that kart, that when you launch it, is going to be on point. Traction, no wheel spin, and more to the point, it gets you off the line like a scalded cat on a hot tin roof. You need that start, and that's very, very crucial. You can make a complete muck-up on a standing start with a KZ. Well, a KZ2, KZ2 Masters, or even an X30 Super Shifter. It can happen. And one of the things that the drivers are going to do to help aid that traction is to come to a slight stop, let it crawl forward, and light up the rear tyres by booting the throttle. So we've got our flag marshal on the start-finish straight, holding the red flags as if to indicate the drivers, right, get into position. Then when we have the green flag waved on the back, our flag marshal at the front will move away, and then the red lights will start to ignite. It's only when race director Dave Ritson is happy that he will let them go. You can see, you can hear the noise, the cacophony. It's something else that when you hear these engines, they rev very, very high. They are blipping them to keep them circulating, because one of the things you don't want to do is stall. Green flag at the back as we are ready for gearbox action here at KCL. And it's time to go racing. Oh, and a bad start by one of the drivers. And that was Jens Strö. Jens Strö not able to get it off the line, as now the fight starts very, very quickly indeed, going through into turns 1 and 2. And it's Daniel Tenbach that leads, Kevin Stehauer in second. I think Renzo Alibax in third. I think it's Jaden Teen in fourth as they go through turn number 4 into 5 for the first time. One of the biggest problems with gearbox driving is that sometimes you can actually do yourself a bit of a disservice if you cause a problem with shifting down or shifting up. You can miss-shift completely, and Jens Strö is more than likely not going to be taking part any further in this race. The Dutchman's drive in Heat 1 has gone completely out of the window. Well, he's actually still circulating. He's got it going, but Kevin Stehauer trying to get through. Well, Kevin Stehauer leads. Renzo Alibax in the 414. So it's Birlant versus one of the, I think it's one of the Hansa Racing Team drivers. Daniel Tenbach a little bit further back. He's about 6/10 off. You can see the work that he's putting in on the right-hand side of the steering column. So Jaden Teen coming through shot in the 4.59. But it is at the moment the battle between Stehauer and Alibax. It's like chrono karting all over again, as they run KZ2 and KZ2 Masters. Of course, Karting Champions League has been a sponsor of the chrono karting live stream last year in 2024. The entirety of the 8-round calendar got coverage right the way through until the season finale last November in the first week of the month. So at the minute, Daniel Tenbach trying to now close in on Stehauer and Alibax. They are line astern, and if he makes it, well, they do say 2's company and 3's a crowd, but then if you add Jaden Teen to that mix, if he manages to close on and as they battle away, it will be too many cooks spoil the broth in that particular equation. But there is a move. Niels Costa had Julian Cameron just siding it up the inside at breakneck speed, 110 kilometres an hour plus, going through out into turn 5 on the run through into Chemin de Fer. But Kevin Stehauer trying to now get away from Renzo Alibax, and there is Daniel Tenbach waiting in the wings to see if anything might happen. Top 3 last time around were covered by 0.65 of a second. We complete lap 3, and you make that half a second, and Tenbach goes in 54.823 was his last lap, and that becomes the new fastest lap of the race. Jaden Teen is only 1.7 seconds behind that battle, and then you've got to go a further 1.8 back. Oh, Julian Cameron gets it all wrong into turn 3, and Niels Costa says, thank you very much. After you, of course, I'll take it. And, oh, well, someone's gone straight on, possibly an engine sees into turn 4, yellow flags out. And someone has just had one of the worst things you can have. If the gearbox seizes, the axle on the rear locks up, and you cannot do anything about it, I'm afraid. That is a real shame. I don't like seeing that at all. And I think, well, Jens Tur at the minute has just put in a purple opening sector. So we're going to see who it was. It was Julian Cameron. The 4.29. The 4.29 is now out of the race on lap number 3. Well, lap number 4. We're on lap 5 at the moment. And, well, everyone is really getting very feisty. That's the thing. As soon as you put drivers behind the wheel of such an aggressive kart, you've got to manhandle. This is why gearbox karting, you know, you look at the last Dutch driver to win the last driver to get into Formula 1 from the Netherlands, that funny enough won at Paul Fletcher International, that was Max Verstappen. So, Kevin Stehauer continues to lead. Renzo Alibax now finds himself half a second back. Louis Esser gets through on Niels Koster. Koster still leading in KZ2 Masters. Tristan Bellon in X30 Supershifter has gone up to now 8th place, having started down in 12th. So some really good battles happening up and down the order here in this particular race, the first of 3 heats this weekend. Kevin Delacroix has made it up from 15th on the grid now, currently runs P11 and is second in the KZ2 Masters classification. But what a shame there for Julian Cameron. Turn 4, back axle, says, no, that's it, I've had enough. There's so much power in terms of brute torque going through the back axle. It is heartbreaking. And I've watched quite recently, I've been watching a lot more gearbox racing in karting. And it's just so heartbreaking when you see these drivers who, along with friends, family, there's so much investment into it, not just fiscally, but also from a passion perspective from the individual and the people they surround themselves with. It is heartbreak when that axle just goes, I've had enough, gone, or the engine seizes, causes the back axle to lock up. And that's probably more than likely what happened with Julian Cameron, that it was an engine seize and he just went straight on and that was it. All she wrote for the 4.29 from the Netherlands. But still, Kevin Steyhauer holding onto the race lead. Took the fastest lap for about 2 seconds. Well, about 0.542 of a second before Renzo Alibax went, I'll have that back. We've got a change. A little bit further down. Tristan Bellon, I think, just got through on Rick Hartmann. And Hartmann, well, in some respects, maybe did not want to fight it too much, because then that would have put him between a rock and a hard place. And I think that's Anders Alkier with them, along with Sita van Meert. So Sita at the back end of that four-cart train going into the Chemin de Fer. Down to 2 minutes and 50 plus one additional lap to go. And there's a lot more strategy with regards to this kind of driving. Of course, you've got to make sure that your shifts are on point. And because you're carrying a lot more speed in comparison with, let's say, direct drive karts, that you've got to, you're banging down the gears, you're trying to keep it straight, you're trying to hit the apex, you're trying to really get out of that corner as quickly as possible without spooling up the rear tyres, and that can happen. And I've seen it before where one driver's decided to come out of a corner and hit the loud pedal a little bit too early, and it spun them around 180 or 360 degrees. So they're either pointing in the right direction or pointing the other way, and pointing the other way is not a good thing, but there is a lot of pressure that Zita van Meert is putting onto Anders Alkier, I believe. But at the moment, well, Kevin Steyhauer now puts in a new fastest lap of the race last time round, 54.290. He's got an 0.8 of a second lead over Renzo Alibax, 54.292 from Kevin Steyhauer, and Alibax 54.399, so nearly 2/10 between those two. But this is a great squabble here, and there's going to be a change. So Jens Treur that was. I recognise the race outfit and the helmet, the race helmet as well. Jens Treur through on Sita van Meert at turn 1. So the 440 finds himself down in 11th. So Jens Treur back into the top 10. But we've only got just over a minute to go. Can he make up maybe another 2, maybe 4 places by the checkered flag? Well, that's one. I think it was Anders Elkier in the number 494 from Denmark. So next up will be Rick Hartmann from Germany, then Tristan Bellon, Niels Koster, I believe, at the front end of that train. So Kevin Steyhauer brings us on to the penultimate lap. There is going to be a change of position here as Koster gets mugged by Bellon going into turn 1. And I'm not too sure if Niels Koster might have gone, I didn't really like that, I didn't fight it. Well, if he fought it and clashed sidewalls with Bellon, then one of them would have been in the barriers, 100%. There's so much velocity that you're finding yourself carrying, and it's a very big wake-up call when you go from direct drive to gearbox. The learning curve is significant, but then if you can master that, if you can master moving up classes, you can then also, in some respects, master your way through into gearbox karting from direct drive. So timer has expired for the last time today. Now we've got the last lap board showing out. So Kevin Steyhauer leading the way. His lead over Renzo Alibax is 1.3 seconds. Daniel Tenbach in third, Jaden Teen in fourth. Fifth is Louis Esser, Tristan Bellon. Rick Hartmann's now has just been dumped out of the top 10 and runs 11th. First it was Jens Treur, who's now behind Tristan Bellon. Bellon was the one that was the driver that organised the domino rally effects there for him. And then Jens Treur, Zita van Meert, Niels Koster, and they all obliged. But Kevin Steyhauer started from pole position, got the whole shot, and has led every single lap. He will take the win here and take the checkered, and wins by a comfortable margin, nearly 1 3/4 seconds ahead of Renzo Alibax. Daniel Tenbach rounds out the top 3, and it's a top 4 lockout by the Netherlands as Jaden Teen started 5th, finishes in 4th place. Louis Esser for Germany finishes in 5th. And our X30 Super Shifter winner of Heat number 1, Tristan Bellon, started 12th, finishes P6. He finished ahead of Jens Streur, Zita van Meert, and Anders Elkier, who round up the top 9 overall. Niels Koster takes the win in KZ2 Masters in 10th overall ahead of Rick Hartmann. Kevin Delcroix second in Masters ahead of Milo van Buggenhout, who took the pole in X30 Super Shifter, but unfortunately would drop to 13th at the flag. Milan van Winden and Martin Versteeg round out the finishers, and unfortunately on lap 4, turn 4, it was game over for Julian Carmen, but Kevin Stayhauer takes the win in the first heat for KZ2 Masters and X30 Super Shifter. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the first official day of competition for the 2025 Karting Champions League Winter Series here at Karting de Fagnes is finally in the books. Qualifying 5 heats done and dusted, and now it's time for everyone to get themselves prepared and ready for tomorrow. And what's more, we've got more racing to come. There'll be morning warm-up, so depending on what the weather conditions are doing tomorrow, we'll find out, as will you, when you join us on the official live stream on the Karting Champions League YouTube channel at 11:35 local time tomorrow morning. Don't forget, for further information on the championship, head to kartingchampionsleague.com. You can also type it in on your search engines on Facebook and on Instagram to find the respective social media channels. So that's it for the first day of competition. Tomorrow we get into proper real estate racing here in southern Belgium. Join us from 11:35 tomorrow morning. Until then, good night. See you tomorrow.